And if someone actually goes to, it will get an echo.
Right.
But someone should probably get on there and verify. Oh,
yeah, I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, we're good. So we are live.
And shared to your timeline.
Look at you sharing so quickly. Dang. So we are live on Facebook. Just live. We've got a few minutes here. Unless you guys want to get started. We got 2 more minutes.
Let's see who's jumping in here.
So it's funny. Alex and I did a test yesterday because we were just messing around with Zoom. I had to take a 75-minute tutorial test. And we jumped on just to see how it would work. And within seconds, we had 2 or 3 people jump on.
That's awesome.
That's crazy, man.
It was funny.
Related live.
You're like, oh my goodness, that was way too quick.
And sorry to those who hopped in there.
It's just Steve and Duncan.
Right.
No one important.
Who cares about Steve? Oh, there's Steve now.
Probably.
Yeah, he says, is Mike Phillips on every show this week? I guess. I don't know.
Maybe not. So we're one up, and then we'll get live.
All right.
And get started.
Feels so professional here. Yeah, it's the tie, guys.
It is the tie.
I brought the tie game.
And the glasses.
And the glasses. That's right. Thank you,
You're
Ben.
making us look bad.
Well,
I think I have a tie in the drawer somewhere.
All right, let's go. Let's go, Jeff.
Be all like wrinkled and everything.
Yeah. Like, watch this. It's a bow tie. No, just kidding. It's not a bow tie.
At least Bob got the polo shirt on.
Oh, I know. It was it happened pretty quickly here, Alex, Can't show up in a t-shirt for this.
Well, you can.
I could. Be very authentic.
There's no dress code, and you can come in your underwear if you want.
Right. Well,
I would tune out if you did that.
Gives a whole different meaning to Refresh Fridays.
Right, yeah.
Truly. Well, I think it's right at 1 o'clock, so I don't know. Let's get started. We got a lot to talk about.
Make it happen.
All right, let's make it happen. So, welcome to Refresh Friday. This is one of our first. We weren't here last week, so one of our first for the year. Actually, we had a couple before, and this is it. So. We've got a huge announcement. We got some housekeeping to go through, and then we're going to cut into the forums. We've got a little bit new format going on, so we're excited about that. But with that being said, biggest announcement right now is Mr. Alex Snyder has come back under the Dealer Refresh fold, which is one of our co-founders. So big claps to having Alex back. My goodness. He's only been going for 12 years?
That was more like.
Did he just high five the screen?
Yeah, here you go.
I think it was like it felt like it was 10 years. All right. So, but no, seriously, I'm personally very excited to have you back on board, and the long hiatus of not being around has had an effect on me personally. I cry every night before I go to bed. So having you back on board is.
Did you still cry every night?
I probably
is going to be. Huh?
You just said you still cry every night.
I maybe I do. So, but with that being said, we're gonna go back to. I shouldn't say go back, but we're gonna rethink some things and sort of go back to what Alex and I first initially talked about, and making sure that Dealer Refresh is a place where dealerships can come to, looking for more information, whether it's technology, process related, in order to sell more cars. And so I'm excited to have you back on board and, back to that original mission statement.
Yeah. Helping dealers find solutions. Really that simple.
That's what it's all about.
That's right.
So, and go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to make mention of something we're sort of toying with, just a little idea. I'm not going to touch on it too hard, but we might add something that might be a little XXX oriented at some point.
Oh Lord, don't say that.
Dealer refresh.
All right, good show.
Well, let's preempt that something with a little. So the funny thing, Alex and I back in the
new kind of refresh.
Yeah, we would get a little edgy with things, sometimes too edgy, and usually that was under the influence of Alex. I can remember there was
no other influence.
There was one time I was truly sweating bullets. It was April Fool's, and Alex decides he's got this great idea. It's 2 weeks before Digital Dealer. I think it's like Digital Dealer 10. I don't know which one it was. I forget. But it was probably like 10 years ago. And he does his April Fool's joke. And he writes this article that Digital Dealer has been canceled.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. And it went like I had Mike Roscoe calling me up, threatening to like sue us for business loss.
Oh my God.
I was like, Alex, man, this was great, but my God, I got so much shit to take care of now.
It's well written like a press release.
It was sort of written
it looks legit.
It was so bad. So there were some of the edgy things that we had going on. So part of me is absolutely excited to have Alex back on board, but part of me is I'm a little scared. I got to be honest.
All sponsorship funds go to the legal fund now.
Yeah.
That probably sounds about right.
Yeah. So speaking of XXX stuff.
Oh, goodness. So what's your plan with the XXX?
Well, I think we're going to start a little forum where people can go in and like get their feelings heard a little bit. Come in and ask any kind of question, but it's going to be raw, unfiltered, edginess all the way. We'll see how it goes.
That's sort of like back to the original of all the forums.
That's right.
I've had quite a few phone calls. Man, you guys are tough over there. If I post something like I get beat up. It's like, yeah, be willing to get beat up. We keep it pretty raw. So, we're going to get back to that. Not that we haven't been there, but we'll definitely get back to it. So, but that's your XXX.
Yeah.
All right,
I got a buddy who's just dying to get in there and start mixing things up.
Oh boy.
We'll let him have at it.
Yeah, I'm afraid. I'm scared.
Yep, I'm not.
I think, will Bob be a part of this?
That's the scary thing.
I'm coming in under a name,
an alias name.
Under an alias, yeah.
V6758224.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
Yeah, Bob, you're gonna have to wear orange in there, not blue.
Yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
So speaking of Bob, Alex, introduction with Bob.
Yeah, so Bob and I have known each other. It's been over a decade.
Yes, I was gonna say 07-ish probably.
Yeah, about time when Checkered Flag came on as a Dealer.com client.
Oh wow.
Yeah, how long have you been at Dealer.com?
06, so it's gonna be 12 years this fall.
Yeah, so not long.
No, it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's always like 30 years in Dealer.com years,
That's more than that, man.
It's just
I think 3 years is like 30 years.
That's why I feel so ready to retire, and I just can't quite get it done yet.
Bob, I have to ask, what have you done to deserve this job security?
Alex knows. I'm the guy when everything's like swirling and falling apart. He'll take care of it. Don't worry about that.
So nothing underground. It's legit.
No, it's all been above board. 100%.
Excellent.
I swear.
Awesome.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Bob, he might get a little grilled here later today.
We'll grill him.
I promised a crap sandwich.
We're going to grill everybody that comes on Refresh Friday from here on out. So let's segue over to Mike Phillips. Mike, thanks for joining us today, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate the invitation.
100%. You're always invited, man. So you've been with the McCloskey, I always say it wrong, but the McCloskey Automotive Group for what, 14, 15 years?
Yep, I'm in my 15th year now. We were talking a little bit beforehand. So I've been 15 years in automotive, 25 years altogether in a sales environment. Before that, I was running a roller rink. I was DJing at a roller rink. And so I was
I love your slogan behind that. Don't skip that.
Yeah, I moved from selling little wheels to selling big wheels, right?
Love it. That's
Going
awesome.
from roller skating to automotive sales. So love it. I absolutely love the automotive industry. Love all the facets of it. Training and processes and all the things that we're going to talk about today, and then many things that branch off of that. So
what I have to ask, because we sort of have maybe a little bit of the same background on the DJ side, but what year or how old were you when you were at the skating rink?
I was from the time I was 15 until I was 25, 26.
Wow.
So almost 10 years. That was the plan. I was going to go through college. I was the next Casey.
So you would play
Casey.
the music and announce the 99, the 50-cent special hot dogs.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah. Play the music. Hey, backwards skate.
Special hot dog.
Yeah. Back then it was probably less than 50 cents if you think about it.
Probably a quarter hot dog back then, right?
Yeah. So yeah, late 80s, early 90s. That was a lot of fun, man. That was a fun industry also.
It was. The skating rink that I went to as a child is still open.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they still rock it. And you walk in there, it's like walking back in time. I mean, they've done a few things, a few changes, but I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I remember the DJ was there. I remember the video games were over here. Asteroids was right there. Frogger was right there.
Still got the same brown roller skates. You still got a mirror ball on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
That's Americana right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Mike, I have 3 kids. My 17-year-old son then worked at the same rink I worked at for a bit. So,
wow.
I'm coming up.
All right. Enough of roller skating. My goodness. So
skating means something different in automotive. Don't go there.
So what's in the news, Alex? What's up?
Well, I like to follow Cliff Banks, as I think most people do.
I like Cliff. Cliff and I go way back. We got some good stories.
Yep.
Sheep balls.
We need to get Cliff on here sometime.
We will, for sure.
But for those who don't know, Cliff is the guy who seems to know everything that's getting ready to happen in the industry of major news level. And he was recently reporting how the CDK and Reynolds antitrust lawsuits have been moved to Illinois, which is a win for them, I guess. So
because it's closer to their offices.
And now Cox, they'll have according to Cliff, a better courtroom to argue from or argue in.
Well, it's closer to their offices, right?
That too, but Cliff was making the argument that it's a more friendly courtroom than a proximity thing.
Do we want to see these DMS companies go down? Do we want to see them crash and burn? I understand the whole purpose behind this because of, data. As a dealership, it's my data, and the CRM companies think the DMS companies want to sort of have the restriction. Ouch. I think that was for you, bro.
I'm going to sit here and not speak for a lot of
Yeah. That's probably smart, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
No comment.
You asked how I've stayed at dealer.com all these years. It's knowing when to speak and when not to.
No, this one's for Bob.
Oh, look at that.
There you go. That's a happy hat.
Yeah.
A happy hat.
This is for when I got to give you crap.
Yep, fair enough.
That's bad. But anyways, where were we?
So you asked the question, are we hoping the DMS companies crash and burn?
Yeah. Are we? All right. No comment, right?
No, I think that there's definitely some anti-competitive stuff.
And I should say the current DMS companies.
Challenged.
Big two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to be challenged for sure.
Yeah, no
We'll
question.
definitely get we'll get Cliff Banks on here for a Friday and pick his brain apart and see what's going on.
Yeah, maybe we can get.
He's like the Notre Dame of the automotive industry.
What's the guy who's Brockman? Yeah, we should get Brockman on too.
Oh gosh, I sat across from him several years ago in a boardroom. It was awkward. Anyways,
moving on.
So one of the biggest changes that we've got with Refresh Fridays is going into the forums. And this was sort of our original intent with this. We've got great conversations in the forums. Sometimes they're older conversations. They get renewed. Someone comes in, they bump it. Maybe it's a 5-year-old thread. Maybe we can go all the way back to a 10-year-old thread. If I'm not mistaken, that's sort of what Alex did. And he started this whole new Bump It Tuesday. We need to come up with a hashtag for Bump It Tuesday, right? Maybe start a new trend across other industries.
Hashtag BIT. Bit.
Yeah, I like that. BIT, bit. So Alex went into the archives of Dealer Refresh forums, I think, 2009, if I'm not mistaken?
There was one I thought was like 2006, or I saw, no, maybe I was looking at when somebody, there was for sure a 2009 one, but there was some old ones.
Dude, it's insane.
You don't have to go very far.
No, you don't.
You can actually go, let me rephrase that. You can go way, way, way back and find pretty much, a whole lot of relevant stuff to today, which when I went back and just started looking through, what should we inaugurate Bump It Tuesday with, I was a little upset at how much stuff was still relevant.
Well, I guess I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing about our industry. I know it makes me bored sometimes personally. I'm just like, really, are we still having this conversation? It's 2018 and this was a conversation we had in 2009. But, maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
Wait, is Shelly still around?
I'm going to guess not. I don't know. Maybe she'll be watching this and reach out to us, right? But she is the one to start the topic, and she wanted to know if you had a magic wand out there in 2010, because this was December 2009 that she posted this, and get your CRM or your ILM to do one thing it currently doesn't do. What would it be? So with Alex's Bump It Tuesday, he brings it back on board. Which, of all threads,
this is great that this is going to be
2009.
Here's one of the things. Can I jump in here? One of the things that I thought was interesting about
this
thread.
Mike, jump in.
Hey, well, okay. Why don't I jump in? Thanks, Jeff. I was on a roll, man. You did. Hey, so the thing that I found really interesting about this thread, as you go in, it says, "Hey, if there was one thing you could do in 2010," and it's like, all of the things really that are listed there, we still need in 2018. Part of the problem is CRM companies are there to sell software. At least we're in a very entrepreneurial dealership. To me, if we could make CRMs easier to use, that were much more salesperson centric, so to speak, they're there to sell software, and they integrate things that are really not necessary. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that are necessary, but they're like, when you look at this at 2010, one of the conversations was somebody suggested, there should be a really good integration with social platforms. In 2018, I don't know of a CRM that has a really good integration with social platforms right now. I don't know.
Now you can log in with Facebook now.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's huge.
All right, next conversation. What's the next topic?
You know what?
That's how you check the checkbox in a sales pitch, by the way. Yeah, we're integrated with social.
There was I sat through a demo with a CRM, and that was probably close to 7-8 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, that actually did integrate with Facebook and Twitter, and it was pulling. It would go out and automatically find. So if you had a customer, or more importantly, equally, a new lead, it would actually go out and scrape whatever it needed to scrape and pull that customer's information in from their social profiles. So you could see, and it would provide a link so you could go out and actually research that customer. I think what happened was, though, some privacy came around that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I believe that's what happened. But there were one or two different CRMs. I think iMagic Labs was one of the first back in the day, if not the first, that was actually scraping those social profiles and bringing them into the CRM. So
yeah, no question. Keith was definitely trying.
See, I wasn't going to mention his name.
Hey, Keith.
Anyway.
Long time no talk, buddy.
Yeah. Hello.
How's Florida? So on a different note, John Quinn, we gotta have a little shout out for him.
Yeah, let's get him on.
Yeah, sometime.
We actually had John on right before the holidays. We were talking about I think service related items and where that falls into the dealership. So but let's not go too far off the grid here, because we can do that quickly.
We've got John here, though. Just a quick shout out to him for
he's on
his. Well, no, he doesn't Facebook. Yeah, right. Guy's in his cave.
He's a smart dude.
Club against the wall, but with his purple tie and jorts on.
Oh God.
So yeah, somebody will tell him I said that. But I see Jay Kelly's on. He'll probably tell him.
Oh God.
So anyway, John is great to come on in and be the voice of reason on something. And he does it with so few words, and he sums up the whole issue right there. What's wrong with CRM? Choices. There aren't enough of them, basically.
Well, is that a good thing or bad thing?
I think it's a terrible thing.
It's a bad thing for competition.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. There's been so many acquisitions since this thread. I mean, even DealerSocket.
Well, and I didn't, when I commented, I really wasn't thinking about what I knew what I was saying, but how it relates. And I'm like, yes, fewer changes. I'm not seeing any major changes in the CRM market, but then again, will we truly, how do we truly innovate the CRM? And there's lots of ways to innovate, but the fact that there's no competition out there. Yeah, there's no competition out there. I mean,
they keep doing the same thing.
They keep doing the same thing.
Yep.
So we'll see. So great thread. If anyone has something to comment on, please jump in. Again, this was our Bump It Tuesday thread, 2009 all the way to 2018. Thank you, Alex. And if you have something to say about that, please jump in the forums and comment. So the other thing was, one of the other conversations that we were having, that one of our forum members started, and I think he sort of started a whole shit show, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's probably due to the verbiage of the title. Does your CRM have the right to hijack your data?
Yeah, it's slightly misleading.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Misleading, but at the same time, in today's society, we sort of have these subject lines that get people involved, get them engaged. And you know what? He definitely did that, because not just here on Dealer Refresh, but across some of the other forums, this has been, I guess, copy and pasted over there. And there's some conversations happening as well. But
yeah, Steve's got the clickbait going there.
Clickbait. There you go. So obviously, the term hijacking is a bit strong.
Web control.
But it's but it's brought about the eyeballs and conversations. Now, Alex, you had something to say about this, and of course, with your background in CRM from the dealership level and development, there's a good understanding why a CRM company would possibly place some strict restrictions on what a dealership or how a dealership can market to a customer, whether it's an active lead or a current customer. Some of those restrictions, in order to market to them, mass market to them via email.
Is there a question in there? I know. I'm messing with
question mark. So. Well, my whole point is, let's be real. Most dealers in the market, most dealers will market to their whole database. I mean, they will just go all the way back 12 years, whether it's an active lead, whether it's a prospect, whether it's, an inactive lead or a customer that's already purchased a vehicle, they will put them in one big bucket, and week after week or month after month, they will just slam that database with a email marketing campaign, right?
Some good old fashioned spam.
And at the end of the day, this has got to cause some huge headaches for the CRM providers, and they've got to step up to the plate. Matter of fact, Canada has their own restrictions, and a lot of the CRM companies up there have actually, I guess, made the adjustments within the CRM just based on the laws. So that's probably going to come down our way as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know that our government passes things the same way Canada does. But it's interesting you asked a question that way. You talk about other places and other industries. And when we were building the dealer.com CRM, we were planning to utilize some, not have to build everything ourselves. So we looked at like companies like MailChimp and Constant Contact for handling the broadcast email portion out of our CRM. And they didn't want our business. They were not excited about, they didn't come out and say that, but their quotes sure made it feel that way.
They didn't want the automotive industry, or
no, they didn't want the automotive industry for some reason.
Wonder why.
Yeah. So we ended up having to build one ourselves, and God, in that time after launching, I got a lot of lessons in how IP addresses get tainted very quickly. And that's what happens. So CRM providers have to house all of the emails, the direct one-to-one communications, along with the broadcast emails. And if one dealer goes out and sends 30,000 emails in one shot, and all it takes is a handful of people with Gmail accounts and a handful of people with Hotmail accounts to hit junk or spam, and all of a sudden that whole IP address is now tainted with Google, tainted with Microsoft, and nobody can get their emails through anymore. Not even the one-to-one emails where you're just trying to send a customer a quote or talk about a color or anything like that. So it's a real pain. And the company that came up with this policy, I believe, is eLead One. And I get it. I understand why they did it. It makes sense. I'm not going to say that I agree with it all the way. In the thread, John Quinn had a nice little comeback. That in total John Quinnese, it just made all the sense and cut right through the bullshit and got right to the point. But the CRM doesn't understand the relationship fully that the dealership has with the customer. So they don't see what goes on in the parts department. They don't see all the service interactions. They don't know. So they try to make some technical guidelines to get them out of the email trouble tank, and upsetting some dealers.
Actually, I posted some of those guidelines, theoretical guidelines, of course. And I just posted those in the forum. So if anyone's out there, please visit this thread and, I don't know, maybe agree or disagree with those, with the criteria, the criteria that a dealer or a CRM could place upon a dealership that would allow them to choose who they can market to and not market to via email. Mike, what's going on? How do you feel about this?
Well, yeah, I agree with, and I don't remember who it was that said, or two questions. First off, did you post that on this thread, Jeff?
I did.
Okay.
So you want to pull that up?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that. But from a dealer perspective, one of the tough things with CRM and who's dictating what's going to go where and so on and so forth. See, these are, I mean, those are standard guidelines that you're putting up here. The problem is most dealership personnel don't know that, and the lack of real integration with most CRMs. I mean, we're like, and I'll leave our CRM and DMS nameless, but they don't integrate well. So when people come in and there's not a really good service CRM from where we sit. So when somebody comes into our service department, how does our primarily sales CRM know that we're communicating with the person in service or in parts or, whatever other contact? Plus you have all these other bolt-on components. Any dealership works with multiple vendors to then do, you add on text marketing and social marketing and all and do those all get funneled in and integrated properly in the CRM? No, I don't think they do. And then what happens is the CRM's dictating when you can go back out and communicate with those people. So then you end up with 7 or 8 piecemeal CRMs. I got my primary CRM that my people are supposed to work out of, but I got to go jump into the text system so that I can text these people. And then I got to jump into the bulk email server and email those. And it just becomes, to me, because I'm on the dealership level, it's a nightmare to try and manage my CRM. I need a CRM for my CRMs.
No, I hear you loud and clear. So true. Very true.
So I think one of the most important things you can do, find somebody. You had pulled it up on the screen, the guidelines that you posted, stuff to stay in compliance with FCC regulations and CAN spam regulation. For one, I think there needs to be, and this may be skewed because I do digital marketing, so I'm up on all this stuff here. You need somebody in the dealership that knows that, because quite frankly, even a lot of the CRM or vendor people in the world often don't know that. They have their opinion or their skewed view of what is right. And then the government and the people putting out the guidelines are dictating, well, no, this is actually what's right. So I think that's something also. The education within the dealership and even just within the industry is something that in that arena, I think is probably lacking.
So, and ironically, if we go back to our Bump It Tuesday, talking about innovation with CRM, is this an innovation or is this just some restriction because we don't have innovation? Is it restricting the dealership because CRMs have not innovated?
Well,
in order to
CRMs are. So what the newest CRM that has over 1,000 clients, let's say, was coded in like 2003. So they're sort of married to this time period where things were a little different than they are today. And they've got maybe too much baggage to be able to innovate the way we want them to.
Yeah, possibly.
That's an idea.
Software development in general is different today than it was in 2003, 15 years ago. Are you kidding me? It's different than it was in 2015. So even the development of that, I think, Alex, when you're saying it's like, how innovative can you be because you're married to that programming, this type of programming that functions on XYZ platform.
Right.
So
Mike, old .NET for you.
So Mike, you mentioned a CRM for your CRM.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, bundled software. We've, Steve Stauning is one of our contributors and a longtime dealer refresher. And he brings up the point that dealerships shouldn't bundle our software companies. What he means by that is, do you hire the same company that does your SEM that also does your CRM or your SEO, your SEM, and of course there's other facets of that as well. But I think that was typically Steve's point: is do we bundle these companies? Do we work with one provider that does it all? And his philosophy is no, we don't, because if you have separate companies, you can pit them against each other. You can cause this competitive landscape per se, and that ultimately is better for the dealership. But what do you think?
How many dealers are capable of holding all those different vendors accountable for all?
That's always the tough part. I'd rather have.
How would they even know how to do that?
All right, sorry, Bob. Let me throw my hat on for you. Softball.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all is approach there, and because look, I read Steve's thread. If you're asking someone, hey, just throw a bunch of money into this bucket and don't worry, we'll take care of it. Wink, wink, nod, nod, that sort of thing. Sure. But if you're, kind of deliberate and intentional in what your goals are, and you demand of your provider or providers, real, tracking of KPIs, real kind of, determining outcomes up front and actually measuring them, then in some ways, the pitting against one another, I would rather, obviously dealer.com, I can speak on behalf of us doing both of them, think of them and how can we allow them to complement one another. And there may be times when you say we need to kind of let them have some tension in places, but there's a good way. And one of the products we're developing, and I won't go into a product roadmap soapbox here, I could take up the whole hour, but we're working on a product that essentially allows a dealer to get a digital marketing mix. Here are my outcomes I'm after. Here are I'm in a conquest market. There's a new dealership down the road. I'm trying to move trucks, that sort of thing. And we start to recommend a mix. And it's not just to spend this money and do this thing, but it's if you do this, you will see this type of result. But that's my dealer.com perspective, but I do think that we as vendors that do both need to hold ourselves accountable even before our dealers do, because again, we should be the ones that know what success looks like on their behalf.
There's two different conversations.
I was getting ready to throw another comment.
That's a good hat. Just hold on to the hat. Yeah. Hold on to the hat, Alex. When I'm saying the CRM for CRMs, the struggle is the integration of these companies and these software companies to integrate to communication with our customers or potential customers. I think that's a different conversation than should you use the same SEO and SEM company. I think there needs to be better handshaking and better communication between the CRM companies and these bolt-on components that we're adding all the time. And most of the time, the reason that we have all these bolt-on components is because the CRM doesn't do that. Oh, hey, we need a texting company because our CRM doesn't do that. Oh, you need a social marketing company? Oh, well, it's because the CRM doesn't do that. So we get all these workarounds, but I think that is a different conversation than who's handling your SEO and who's handling your SEM and who's holding those accountable. Personally, I agree. It was Steve, I think, that had said that in the forum, right? I agree with him. I think you should use different vendors, but then to Bob's point, you have to have somebody in dealership that knows what they're looking for, that knows how to measure those KPIs, that knows how to read analytics, that knows what the heck they're doing but besides, and I appreciate that you're saying, hey, the vendors should hold themselves accountable. I truly do appreciate that. At the same time, you need somebody on the inside to be able to hold them accountable.
No doubt, yeah.
Yeah, so every dealership needs a Mike Phillips.
There
Mike
you go.
I'm not saying that. I appreciate the compliment, but that wasn't where I was headed. So, saying every dealership needs someone that understands that.
So, yeah, unfortunately, at some of these organizations, they'll remain nameless. There are different departments that might not be speaking to one another.
What?
So,
that doesn't happen.
Click guys might not be talking to the SEO people, and sometimes the mix-up doesn't taste so good to the dealer at the end of the day.
No, it's a hot mess. People end up spending we're not talking $100 or thousands of dollars. It's like tens of thousands of dollars that the money's blown because you have people that aren't communicating either in different companies or, like you just said, within the same company. It's, oh, hey, we'll try this on. Let's test this.
Right.
I'll be your guinea pig. Not.
So great information around that. If anyone else, this is the article that Steve Stoning was referring to. This will make you cry. And that's
a good post.
That was fantastic. And the unfortunate part, this is happening every day on the dealership level. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better here. and we've got some great comments, some help with this gentleman here. This one's we're gonna bring this one back in like 2 years. This will be like one of those.
Set a calendar reminder to bump it up.
Yeah, bump it Tuesday on this one.
Yeah, this will be a bump it Tuesday, like in 2 months, and then 4 months, and 6 months.
Right. In 2020, when the space cars are here, we'll bump it again, and we'll be in good shape.
Space cars.
Can we change his username to Stephen King, because he about as long as Stephen does.
I have access to do that. So we were speaking about SEM, SEO, and bundling it and not bundling it. Speaking of SEO, we've got something scary on the front. I guess we could call it scary. Let me go back into the screen share here, and we've got Mr. Rick Buffkin. He's been one of our one of our original dealer refreshers. He's very active on our forums. He's got a website. Yeah, fantastic, dude. We've actually had him on Refresh Friday quite a few times. But he brought something to light, and he did a search on one of his dealership websites, and all of a sudden, all the title tags are all messed up. It's just crushing anything he's done with SEO. It's got, I guess, information from other dealerships. Apparently it's a whole mess. It's definitely brought up a lot of information, a lot of conversation. So, he's, he got crazy with the blue highlighter here, but
I like the Copeland Toyota one. That's going back a ways in the Hampton Roads marketplace there.
Wow. So where are these coming from? What's going on
in Tennessee?
Who knows what's going on here?
Yeah. If you, I put it in refresh this morning, I believe. Okay. I think it's on page 3 of this. So, I kind of laid out what we've done, what we know, what we've seen here. Maybe my page 3 based on how I paginate, but it's essentially Google is canonicalling, or at times canonicalling other sites essentially that they see as duplicate. And it's crazy because top level domains all different, of course. In a lot of cases, these sites all have unique content anyway, like some of these service pages and that sort of thing. And they actually say in Search Console, Google chose to canonical a different page than you told us. Alex knows this can't have been going on forever.
Can I interrupt you for a quick second?
Yeah.
And can you define canonical? There might be some people watching who.
Sure. It's essentially the what's the best way to describe it? It's like when there are multiple things, it's the one thing that's like the true source of truth or whatever, right? So when there's a disparate set of things, this is the point of truth. That's my like layman's product term,
the canonical to rule them all.
Right.
Yeah, one canonical. The canonical, that it's how news organizations will be able to pull one story from like Associated Press and say, this is the original story. This one here is the Associated Press story. But then New York Times, the Gazette in Colorado Springs, the LA Times, everybody else posts the identical story, but they list the canonical link back to the original story.
Great way of explaining it.
So yeah, that is. I'm going to steal that. So we were thinking, how could this have been going on? This obviously we've had a platform up for 20 years now or something like that. And it looks like there was an algorithm change made at the end of the year that started to do this. And so I know, right? Thanks for the heads up. So what we've been doing here is, you can read it in the post too, but we've been essentially engaged in pretty deep, SEO and platform forensics, trying to find places where, again, even when the written content and imagery and that sort of thing is different, it's still happening. A lot of these are pages. They're like I was looking at one example. It was like the payment calculator confirm page. They're like these ancillary pages at times that no one ever touches. So, obviously it's written here, but long way of saying is we're pretty relentlessly pursuing this. Because even if some of those kind of long tail pages may not have, on their own individual SEO juice. The kind of aggregate problem will, in theory, cause problems if it persists. So, and we've talked to Google too, and obviously they don't really have a, you don't get let into the back door where all the SEO gurus are designing their algorithms. But, one of our perspectives too is this is a bad user experience for everybody here. I mean, if Google's really in the business of serving the right content to the right people and providing the best experience. So we're trying a couple things with static canonicals in a couple places versus relative and that sort of thing. We've had our SEO team pretty deeply engaged, but my kind of commitment, like I said in the thread, is to keep you guys all up to date, and kind of in the spirit, like Alex was talking about, of transparency and not holding back or whatever. We're pretty focused on getting this solved with them, and it doesn't happen in Bing and Yahoo, right? They're not doing this.
So this is Google's fault.
I didn't. Hey, you're putting words in my mouth.
No, that's
Can I answer that one a little bit for you, Bob?
Yeah.
Just to give you a little bit of slack.
Thanks,
Maybe.
Alex.
So I've talked to one SEO guru. We'll keep his name out of this, and a dealer.com competitor who asked me what was going on with this thing. And they both said that they are seeing some of these issues occur in other verticals, not just automotive, and maybe with another provider who also remain nameless.
Yep, we know of one at least.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be isolated to dealer.com, but dealer.com seems to be the most affected by it.
And you got to figure we've got, some of it, and not to beat our chest or whatever, but it's a market share we've got X percentage of the market, and we've got the most sites and that out there. So
yeah, you can stop beating your chest now.
You'll knock me right down. I know, Alex. I'm well.
I think one of the things a lot of the large website providers didn't realize is when Google did change the way that, because Google's out there for one thing. Google wants people to continue to use Google, so they try to get them the most relevant content. Look, if I type this in, if I share this information, whatever it comes up, it becomes the most relevant content. Well, when Google made the change in the SEO arena for canonical links and so forth, one of the things a lot of these big companies I don't think realize, and this may not be a popular comment, but a lot of large website companies will take and they'll cookie cutter pages and drop them in on multiple dealer pages. And then Google tries to figure out which one's the most relevant. And that's the one I'm going to serve. Sure. Because that's the most relevant person. So then it's redirecting everybody else's search to that cookie cutter web page. And unfortunately, it's one of those things, and not that I'm any expert or guru on it, but we sit and study it. I have a young man that works in-house for me that he does our own content in-house, fortunately, so we don't end up with something that my web provider is going to say, well, this is what you should be displaying on the page because this is relevant right now. Well, it may be relevant nationally or for you or for cars, but here's what's relevant in my market because my store says it is, my community says that it is, so we don't end up with duplicated stuff. If we did, it would be somebody newsjacking from us, and not that that's the best way to do it, but I think that is one thing. That's why you're seeing it in other verticals too. If you have somebody that's developing websites for dentists, and they're saying, well, because in the dental field, here's what's important and here's what's important, and they're dropping all those dental field web pages onto those other websites, Google's going to try and figure out which one's the most relevant. It's going to drive all the traffic there organically.
Yeah, and it's interesting in this case where, and this is, I think, the biggest challenge in this in general is, even though we're saying to Google, this is the page, this is the canonical for this is the origin, they're saying in Search Console, we're picking another one, and so to me, like, someone say, oh, Google, it's to Jeff's point, is it Google's problem? Yeah, sure. We'll get them to fix it, right? No, the answer is going to be, we need to figure out how to more or less better convince them on these pages that what we're saying, as in this page is the origin page, is the right page, right? The box used to be here. They moved the box over here. We've got to move into that box.
Yeah. Simple, huh?
It's a big box.
Yeah, no.
Well, either way, Bob, we definitely appreciate you coming in and representing dealer.com, Cox, whoever they are now.
Yeah. Hey, dealer.com. I'm wearing my orange. Yeah.
No, but seriously, we appreciate it. It's not an easy the easy task to jump in front of him. I'm reading some of the comments on the Facebook posts that, you know, we got some shout outs, we got some woes, we got, you know, cookie cutter page comments and everything else to go along with it. So but no, it's we definitely appreciate that. So
Yeah, and you know, I kind of on this topic say, like, no, we're taking it seriously. No, we're, you know, we're not going to kind of say, oh, that's something else, and don't worry about that. Like,
well, I mean, you have to. I mean, you're you know, you're a large company with thousands and thousands of accounts, so you have to take it serious.
Yep, no doubt.
So. And to echo a little bit on what Jeff was saying here, and you know, it goes without saying, thanks, Bob. So, but
you didn't put your friendly hat on when you said that.
I knew
Come
it.
on, Alex.
Come on.
All right, here you go.
There it is. There it is.
So
now it touched his heart.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's more important.
Yes, I used to work there.
I have one.
So and yeah, orange is some good Kool-Aid. But
well, here's the deal. We're 10 of 2 Eastern time. We typically would go about 30 minutes on these, but the reality is when we've got great topics, great conversation going on, let's stretch it out. Let's touch on the topics that we need to touch on. Let's have those conversations. So, but with that being said, I mean, being 10 of, a little bit of housekeeping real quick. Alex, welcome back. Thank you very much. Mike, absolute pleasure. We'll definitely have you back here very soon. And once again, Bob, thank you so much to put your neck out there on the line after all this crazy conversation. And
we won't have Bob back, though.
No, we won't have him. Bob won't be back.
Send the guy a hat.
Hopefully not. You don't want to come back.
I'll send you a dealer.com hat.
Yeah, sure. I have plenty of those, Alex.
I have an extra cobalt. Would you like that?
No, I'm good. I want to get on with Cliff and John Quinn. I think that'd be a good crew.
That'd be a fun one. Absolutely. Yeah. So with that being said, anyone that's out there watching, thank you very much. We'll be back here next Friday. Another Refresh Friday hashtag. What is our hashtag? I should know this. It's
Refresh Friday. Hashtag Deep Fresh.
Refresh Friday. So please like, share, do whatever we need to do, and let's keep the momentum going. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya.